Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the I Am Possible Radio. It's myself, Mia Elise, and Maria Gadelis. We're here today to talk to you about the fact that everybody starts at zero. And we're going to share with you 5 ways to jumpstart from the bottom to grow your list and following when you have a list following size of 0 or damn near possible to it, or sorry, damn near close to it. So we're excited to share these 5 things with you today. And to kick it off, Maria's going to give us number 1. What is our number 1?
Number 1, the first thing, how to, get started is change your mindset about success, right? A lot of times you compare yourself and say yes, or enter one of the comments if you happen to be watching this on Facebook Live. If you actually see someone's success and get jealous about it or envious and go, oh my God, well, I just started my business and I haven't made 10K months yet. And I don't have an automatic predictable income system yet. So sometimes you want to, pretend you're just born. Sometimes you want to run before you even crawl. So for your mindset, rather than focus on what you lack, which is a list or a following, right? To jumpstart your business from the bottom, focus on what you already possess and the service you can be of others, right? If you haven't seen last week's episode, it's really good where we talk about the 3 phases of an entrepreneur. And Mia and I went really heavy in depth into like phase 1, either you have a skill right now to sell or you should get a skill, and then focus on that. And then in your mindset, I would like to say, this is what's always worked well for me and Mia, and I don't know if you've done this, but you've future cast yourself. So if you could close your eyes and envision yourself for a minute, 1 year out with your list built to whatever the goals you set are. Say you want your list to be 5,000 people. I know you might be freaking at me because your list is 0, not a zilch right now if you're listening to this, but imagine this, that if your list was 5,000 people, picture yourself, what decisions would you make if you have a list of 1,000 people? What decisions would you make? So you have an income coming in of 10,000 a month. All right. What decisions would you make today? So make your future self that successful 5,000 person list, 10,000 monthly income that's predictable and consistent. Now put that future self into your today body and just say it. I am a 10K a month earner. I am a 10K a month earner. And write that down 5 times a day. Say it to yourself in the mirror, because if you focus on it's your reticular activating system in your head. I learned this from Tony Robbins ages ago when I bought Get the Edge program, Mia, where he talked a lot about like what your mind focuses on becomes reality. Like your thoughts become reality. And if you're focusing on, I don't have a list, I don't have anyone following me, boo hoo, and I don't, even have like much dollars to rub and pennies to rub against each other to buy even Girl Guide cookies when they knock at your door. Well, then if you're thinking about that scarcity, then you're going to keep making the future become scarcity. So you need to start thinking of having abundance of money, having your reticular activating system in your brain. You're reprogramming your brain to those 10K months. And the more you vision it, then the more you'll see it, believe it, and then magically it will happen. All right. So, and if you follow us, a shameless plug, Mia, if you follow us on the I Am Possible show here and everything that we deliver to you, and even our courses, like we help you go from 0 to like one of our clients, $1 million after 12 months. Like, I know that's crazy, but even 10,000 a month, 100,000, that's 10% of $1 million. Like imagine that. That's all achievable for you. So I'll get off my soapbox of mindset because I love mindset and success. So what's the second thing, Mia?
Well, it's true. We always start our things. If you've been following us for a while, we typically start our episodes usually with mindset. Like when we're trying to give you a plan or whatever, we always start with mindset because mindset it's key, and what we focus on grows. And so if you're focusing on the lack will grow. And if you're focusing on abundance and fruitfulness and, what service you can be to others, then that will grow too. So number 2, this is a big one too. This is limit your input. And you might be thinking to yourself, like, how does this help me grow from a list size of 0? Well, the truth is that with all of the noise in the world, I mean, like just noise on the freeway, noise on your mobile device, on your computer, noise in your home, like we are interrupted literally every 45 seconds. You do not even get a
Yeah.
full minute without interruptions, whether it be a notification on your phone or the doorbell ringing or an email coming across your screen or, whatever it is, which greatly limits your ability to create, not just in general, but unique content as well. So in addition to this, noise can also be like competitors or people that you follow that are doing the thing that you want. So, if I were to look at the success of people that I hope to have, I start to ingest their messaging and I start to copy them as well, right? So I lose my own innate voice and I start to just copy what other people are doing out there. And that doesn't make us unique. So, limiting your interruptions by turning off all distractions. You can mute your notifications, close out apps. You can just try and get quiet, like Maria likes to do, just get quiet and visualize. Go for a walk. You see Maria walking along the lake all the time. She'll do Facebook Lives. And I imagine it's probably because as you're going for a walk, you get inspiration, right?
I do. I do. Especially your subconscious level is thinking about something, So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's almost funny. It's almost like calming your mind, Mia, that, and if you know then what your goals are and stuff and limited your input, it's almost as if I think you said this once, that the universe has got your back. Like the
Mm-hmm.
universe can bring those answers to you, even if you don't know the how. Like, okay, I want to
Yeah.
make 10,000 a month. Well, and everyone keeps worried about the how and they have paralysis analysis. But if you just walk into it and then focus on it, I guess, yeah, it's pure creative juices flowing.
Yeah. So whatever it is for you that you can get your creative juices flowing, whether it's taking a shower or, I talked to somebody the other day that was like, I have to take a shower every day because I have to have the water over my head. And that's how I get, my inspiration. And I was like, okay, crazy, but whatever works for you, if it's a
What
hike or whatever.
what works for you, Mia?
It's usually a shower
Okay.
or a massage, which I
Okay.
don't get nearly enough massages. And with this
Yeah.
like COVID time,
Mm.
that has greatly limited that. But like, I always get the best inspiration when I'm forced to be somewhere where I can't check my phone. I don't have the
Yeah.
ability to like worry about other things. That's usually where I get my inspiration from.
Because when you went, I still vividly remember the shift in you when you went to that Costa Rica retreat.
And girl, I had the best massage of my life and I was on fire.
You were, I remember. Well, you still are, but I remember that week huge for you. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a huge transformation. And, for me, it was like we're just all sucked in as a new parent, you're just sucked into the life of like keeping this tiny human alive that like sucks all of the energy out of you. And so, even if you like, as new parents, especially and parents of young
Mhm.
kids, like you have to fight extra hard to get that quiet time or that free time.
Mhm.
And so, it's also a lesson in self-care and like the ability to ask for what you need.
Yeah, that's so true. And adding one more thing to it, because you're good at this too, saying no to things. Like it's so important that sometimes your brain gets too scattered if it's that analogy of being on an airplane, right? Like if
Mm-hmm.
something happens when the oxygen masks fall out from the top, you don't put it on your child first, you put it on you first. And then
Yep.
once you then you can help others. So always remember that, everyone. That's just such a big important lesson. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we all find ourselves like we had a podcast episode about this too. Recently found myself in a place where I had said yes to far too many things. And
Mhm.
so just because you said yes before doesn't mean that yes has to continue. Like you have the ability to change your schedule. You have the ability to switch up how you do things so that it works for you and you can limit your input and block off your time so that you
Yeah.
can create
Mhm.
content. All right.
Speaking of content, want to head to number 3?
Yes. What's number 3?
Okay. Number 3 is have a list building lead magnet funnel. Now, I know a lot of you know, if you follow us for any length of time, we totally believe in the micro offer, like a low ticket offer, $1, $5, 27, $37, and have a funnel, and that'll bring you like to 6 figures, 7 figures for sure in the long term. But maybe you don't have your course created yet. So the least minimum viable funnel you should have is something that builds your list up, because there's a reason why there's a saying, there's money in the list. And all you need is a simple opt-in that is something of value to your ideal audience. And it's sort of the first step that you need to do to begin gathering email addresses and growing your list. And by the way, the biggest tip I can tell you right now is make it short and sweet. Like, gone are the days 10 years ago when you could give like a 50-page white paper to someone as your free list building method. Because the thing is, the goal of it is to get their email address, and then you want them to consume it. Like, if your ideal person is giving you their sacred email to get into, and so that you can get into their sacred inbox, because we get inundated with so many things, the faster you can make it enticing for them to consume it. So meaning, Mia, you can help me with this, like a checklist is a perfect thing, or an audit checklist, like a funnel audit checklist. I think you were talking about maybe Mia once having, or like 30 micro offer ideas you were mentioning last week, Mia, for us to have as a free opt-in. And it's super, super important. Can't stress it enough.
Yeah. It needs to get somebody a result of some kind or shed some light on something, right? But it doesn't need to be this 25-page thing that people have to, because they're not going to consume it, and then they're just going to forget about you.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, going back to the baby analogy, like, the people are coming into your audience, they're crawling with you. They're not running with you and handing you $10,000 checks without knowing who the heck you are. But how do you get them to know who the heck you are? It's a chicken and egg scenario. So you want to give them something that it's sort of they can crawl with. Like, they're sort of like, Scott Olford talks about this, that they're on the sidewalk with you at first before getting on the road with you and the highway and running with you. So give them something that is at a slow pace, literally short and sweet, that they can consume, that's of value. And I would strongly suggest in there too, make it also, in when they get into your email list, some sort of nice nurture sequence. And this topic of this podcast isn't about that. Maybe that's for a future one, but you need to tell them a little bit about yourself, because people buy from like stories, not facts. And they want to know the story about you. They want to bond with you. People buy from people they kind of connect with. They don't buy because it's just some smoking dealer, this, that, when it's in our arena, so right. That really helps a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so number 4 is to show up consistently on video via Facebook Lives, Instagram Lives, YouTube, with a commitment to a schedule. So, for example, every Tuesday we do the I Am Possible podcast radio. It shows up on Facebook, and then we repurpose it onto Instagram and onto our website. So showing up consistently on video is an excellent way to bring in a cold audience, warm them up, teach them about some of the things that you do, give them lots of value. And if you do it consistently, people start to expect that you are going to show up. So each week we have a handful of people that show up live with us, and a heck of a lot more that watch the replay. So, and then we have people that listen to it on our podcast, on iTunes, on Stitcher, wherever else we post it. So we have committed to a weekly schedule to do this every Tuesday. And so we're challenging you also to commit to a schedule. And if your schedule has to change, so for, example, maybe you commit to a Wednesday and Wednesday morning just doesn't work anymore for you, you can change the schedule, but don't just stop doing it. And so just a little tip on, like, if you're like, I have no idea what to talk about every single week. My suggestion would be to take 3 to 5 of your core ideas and then break them down into micro topics so that you have loads of content. So, one of our core ideas is that you must have a list to sell to, right? So we might take that core idea and break that down into 5 or 6 micro topics and do like Facebook Lives or podcast episodes about that sort of topic. So that if you were to listen to everything, like if you ever noticed when you listen to a podcast that you just found and loved, and you listen to all of their content, like if you were to listen to all 700 hours of content, you might get their entire paid program, right? But who has time for that? So
Right.
you can take your core content that maybe you sell in a course or something like that and break that down into
Yeah.
topics on your Facebook lives. And you might feel like, oh, but I'm giving away my best stuff. Well, if somebody listened to episode 1 and episode 30 and episode 75, they might get like some golden nuggets of your best stuff and then go on to buy from you.
Yeah. And what's funny, Mia, too, is that if you were to watch that as well, you will see that quantity produces quality. That the beginning of when someone goes live, and that's why you shouldn't be scared to go live and share your stuff and talk to even just one person. If even just one person is watching your video, that's okay because it's going to grow, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but you're probably going to see an improvement, right? Like whether it be how that person is speaking, whether it be the more confidence they have on camera or their messaging. So you don't have to have it perfect at first. Like Mia, you and I talk a lot about this, like being perfectly imperfect.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's super key for you to know here as well.
Yeah. Just showing up in your real you, authentic you self. And that will call in the people that are meant to be with you and repel the people who are not meant to be with you. Because if somebody can't get over the fact that you said 75 times your first Facebook live, or maybe you were a little scattered or whatever your first couple times, if somebody's going to hold that against you, then they were never your people to begin with. So it's okay to be a little bit mumble jumble. It's okay to jump around a little bit your first couple times or your first 30 times or whatever. We've been doing this since March every Tuesday.
Yep.
And, I think we've got pretty good at it. But in the beginning, it was a little shaky with the 4 of us, like,
Yeah.
jumping around. So
Yeah.
show up perfectly imperfect.
Yeah. And then number 5, and this is what goes well into what we just talked about, showing up consistently, is you can repurpose that to make life easier for you. You don't have to recreate the wheel, but take that content you have and now either or maybe do both, podcast and blog about it weekly. So
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty easy nowadays to have a blog. You can slap up a WordPress site hire someone on Fiverr for less than, probably $50 to get a simple site and blog set up for you. And the podcasts are free too, if you want to set yourself up fairly free on Anchor FM or Podbeam
Mm-hmm.
or one of them. Like a lot of people say Libsyn, and I'm getting detailed here, Mia, but please know, I don't want you to get into something that's hard to use at first, right? So
Yeah.
I find Anchor FM literally from your phone. I started just doing a podcast episode from my phone actually on it. And it really can be a written version. Now, here's a hot tip for you. It can be a written version of your Facebook Lives. You can get it
Mm-hmm.
transcribed. Either use otter.io. It's a free app, Mia, and you
I
can
just heard
actually
about
just
Otter recently.
yeah. So it looks like this. I don't know if anyone can see it really well, but that's Otter. And what it does is you could actually record after you do live, you could record yourself and Otter will actually transcribe it automatically. And it won't be the perfect transcription, but pretty darn good. And then you
Mm-hmm.
could take that, or you can go to something like Transcriptionists, hire a VA, or go to rev.com. They charge now $1.25 per minute. So that can get expensive if you're producing a lot of content. But initially, the whole point is don't think you have to be creative in all new topics every single week. The most successful people we see, and this works well for us too, is if you kind of say the same thing but with different angles all the
Mhm.
time. So please know that people like to consume content in many different ways. So if you provide the audio version, the written version, the Facebook video, live version, then more the better. And we are in a society where the growth of podcasts is massive, and
Yeah.
people do, like, yeah, while they're going for a walk, or me while I'm driving. It's like the rolling university for me. I will still do people's podcasts out of curiosity, and just me. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And side note, even your course content, people tend to listen to that while they're commuting as well. Recently, when going through one of our group coaching programs, one of our students in there mentioned that while she was on her commute to work, she would listen to that morning's like training so that when she got home, she had already ingested it audibly so that she could rewatch it and then like execute. So I thought that was really fascinating. It had never occurred to me that somebody might
Yeah,
listen to it on their commute. And then that way they could execute faster when they got home.
that is awesome. That's a really good
Yeah.
tip. Yeah.
So everybody starts at zero. That's the theme and the message of today. And even we as a company, I Am Possible, we started at zero and we had to produce content. We had to grow an audience and produce content that was relevant to our audience. And we were creating courses and, different resources that were valuable to our audience. And so we had to follow these very steps. We had to define what success was. We had to change our mindset about success. The people and the businesses that we help have been in year 2, 3, and 4 of their business sometimes. And so looking at their success and comparing it to our own can be a little bit toxic. So we had to change our mindset about what does success look like. We had to limit our input for sure. So in order to get stuff done, we had to reduce the noise. And Maria and I oftentimes have had hours working sessions where we turn everything off and we focus on the task at hand. We have a micro offer for us personally is our lead magnet funnel, which if you followed us at all, you know that we talk a lot about micro offer funnels and how they both grow your list and also your buyer's list at the same time. So that is our list building funnel. We show up consistently every single week. In addition to our podcast, we also have Maria's Monday Motivation and my Fun Funnel Friday. So we have content that we're producing every single week. And we do that consistently, whether we want to or not. We show up. And then we
Yeah.
also repurpose that content onto our blog, on our website, and then all across the internet.
Cool.
So that's it. 5 ways to jumpstart from the bottom. Everybody starts at zero,
Yep. Before
including
you get to hero.
Repurpose.
So I'm zero to hero.
Zero. Oh gosh. We
Got
just
it.
watched that movie recently.
Oh, there was a movie called that?
It's
I
a
didn't know.
it's a Disney movie where that zero to
Oh,
hero, that's a song in it.
oh, that's fun.
All right, friends. Next week we will have another amazing podcast episode for you. Couldn't tell you what the topic is, but you'll find out next week. Have a great week.
Cheers.